To tell the story of Anglesey House is to tell the story of William Thomas, who sailed to Australia from Wales in 1859. After meeting his brother John in Melbourne, they spent 3 years in Victoria before the lure of Forbes goldfields drew them here in 1862. The two brothers realised there was more potential in retailing than actually digging for gold, and formed a partnership and built a store which eventually turned into one of the largest retail establishments in the Western Districts of New South Wales. Their magnificent premises fronted both Rankin and Lachlan Streets in Forbes and sold a large range of goods, employed a large number of staff, and was financially rewarding for the two brothers. William travelled overseas extensively to further the business and also purchased land for agricultural pursuits. He married Maria Field in 1867 and the couple had 11 children. William Thomas was a civic-minded man and indeed was the mayor of Forbes when the town hall was opened in 1891. He also purchased an exquisite cast iron fountain in England and had it shipped to Forbes as the centrepiece of Victoria Park. Mrs. Thomas commissioned the fountain the same year as the town hall opening. This fountain has significant heritage value. In 1884, William built his stately private residence, Anglesey House in Templar Street. The name Anglesey came from his birth area in Wales. A description from the day states that it is a handsome two-storey structure of brick with stone copings and is famous throughout the district for the geniality of its owner and the hospitality of its fair mistress. Anglesey House was also well known for its social functions. A newspaper article from 1890 gives us a description of a ball held there. On Thursday evening, Mr. and Mrs. William Thomas entertained over 100 invited guests at Anglesey House. Elegant and even elaborate preparations had been made for the comfort and enjoyment of the visitors. The guests had a very pleasant time, dancing being kept up during the greater part of the night. William Thomas died unexpectedly in 1896 while in Sydney, and his body was returned to Forbes and lay in state in the drawing room of Anglesey, where numbers of sympathising friends paid their respects. William's funeral was a very large one. Mrs. Thomas lived to a very advanced age and passed away peacefully at her residence, Anglesey House, in 1925. On March the 3rd, 1926, an auction of the house and contents was held, and here started a very sad period for the grand old house. Unsightly additions containing more housing units were built on the side of the house. The newspapers of the day, however, proclaimed that it was modernity well exemplified and that the grand old house had been rejuvenated. Anglesey House remained as flats and units for many years, its glory slowly fading until it was purchased by local solicitor Paul Acon in the 1980s. Paul commenced restoring the building, paying particular attention to the cast iron lacework that is a feature of the front of the house. It was a painstaking process. Current owners Vanessa Crompton and Jeff Herdigan came to Anglesey in 1998 and have continued this sympathetic restoration. The grand old lady of Templar Street is now very close to its former glory. Let's have the final word from Jeff and Vanessa.
It has great bones, this old building. It's double brick and solid. It'd be remiss if we didn't mention Paul Acon's contribution to this old building, but he put a few infrastructures in that were important to the old building, and they just added to the good old bones that were here.
Given now that we're a short stay accommodation through Airbnb, obviously people love to come here specifically because of the style and the age of the building. And people do absolutely love it. They feel that it's stepping back in time and we are able to share in that, and they can look at the connections between the town hall and the fountain in Victoria Park